Welcome, 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 welcome. It's been a few minutes since I posted a video. I was out of town, and prior to that, I was spending a lot of time getting ready to go out of town. But I also did more work on my Alice journals. So even though April's hashtag Go Ask Alice JJ challenge is technically over, I do want to show you where things stand, because I think there's some really cool stuff that happened, and I'd love to be able to just like sit down, do everything on camera and have a plan, but that's just not me. Mostly it's I don't feel great, I'm gonna sit down and work on this. Oh wait, this is awesome. What if about this? What about this? Kind of stuff. Anyway, yeah, you don't care. Or maybe you do. But either way, let's talk about where things stand. So once again, this is the gigantic, magical, massive, full deck of cards accordion journal that I've been working on. Oh, I got a bunch of gift tags at IKEA years ago. Probably like maybe even as many as 10 years ago. And there are a few of them like this that say open me, which is perfect. And I found it by accident while I was going through wrapping paper stuff to wrap a gift. So it and other relevant tags came out of the gift wrap and into the Alice journal batch of stuff. That is going to make for a really cute closure. I still haven't decided exactly how I'm going to do it yet. I've also been going through, sometimes I just like to kind of get a sense of what ephemera, what kinds of elements I want to use where. I have had this little guy ready to go since I first worked on an Alice journal a year ago. And I decided it looked nice in here in one of the pockets, because I do want to put other elements in this journal besides just cards. I have started adding backs to the cards so that they can all have some writing space on the back, and then the primary decoration will be on the front. And so I've been working on getting that started. I will probably continue to do this just so that I have all of the cards ready to go when I resume working on this project. But I can feel the winds shifting. I can feel my soul telling me to work on a different project. And that is also just me. That's just how I work. Like, I work on something while I'm really excited about it, and then when things shift and I get in the mood to go elsewhere, I gotta follow that, because otherwise I end up doing things I really don't like. And I get this like sense of desperation of like, I just need to get this over with so I can go do what I want to do. And I never want that to be the way I approach my art, right? And Sassy doesn't want it to be the way that I approach my art either. So since those winds are shifting, at this point, I may continue, like I said, to do things like glue cards, glue those little cards on the back of the playing cards to get them ready when I'm in the mood to work, but not in the mood to be creative. When I just want to sit down and do something without thinking, that's a great project I can continue. But in terms of decorative stuff, not so much. So that is the status of my Alice's Mad Deck of Cards playing card journal. This happened quite by accident, but I'm really happy with it. I have, in the original Alice in Wonderland kit that I made, I have several of these file folders. And I think initially I just figured I'd shove them into the journal somewhere. I hadn't really given a whole lot of thought as to how I wanted to use them. And then, again, as so happens, I was playing around and all of a sudden I thought, I just want to glue them together and turn them into almost their own mini journal. So that's what I did. And the reason I have these big fat tags in there is because I left space every time I glued it together so I could make a little pocket. And I picked 2 that would be pretty on the outside. That means I did lose the face of some others, but that's fine. And then essentially each folder I glued together on 3 sides to make a pocket. And so there's a pocket in there. There's a little pocket in there. And there's a little pocket in there. And it's closed. This might be something I keep as a standalone, but there's a good chance that I will just add it to my bigger journal. We'll just have to see what mood I'm in when I pick it up again. I made a ton of progress on this journal, you all. Again, it was just one of those things where I was sitting down and like something took over and I just began to work and then follow where my creativity was taking me. So let's take a look. The first and major thing that I did was I started taking all of these pieces of paper that I had printed out from my first Alice in Wonderland kit, the super big one. And a lot of it was on very cheap copy paper. This was right when I was starting to do more junk journaling in earnest, and I really didn't know yet what I was doing, or, you know, hadn't learned a lot yet. And so most of the, and to be frank, I was making my first digital kit and printing a lot of copies of stuff, and I just didn't want to waste heavier paper while I was kind of figuring stuff out. So a lot of the original kit that I have is on lighter weight paper, and that's fine. I don't like to waste it, so I've been trying to use it. And this was a great way to use up a lot of it. Some of it just doesn't work on the lighter weight paper, and I've had to say goodbye. But as much as possible, I try to back it onto heavier weight paper and do other things. So the biggest thing about this journal, one of the, well, I shouldn't say the biggest, but one of the reasons it looks as finished as it does compared to the last time you've seen it, if you watched a previous video, is because I put that paper down on every page, I guess they're pages, of this bad boy here. And then one of the things I like to do, especially when I'm working on a kit or with a kit, I'm not like work on a full single page and get it finished kind of person. I'm a, ooh, what do I want to do with this component? Where can I put it? What do I want to do here? What would go with that? And I just kind of riff. I just flip through the journal and see if anything inspires me and then work on that. I made this the first time I was working through the Alice in Wonderland stuff. I didn't do it on a video, but essentially it is just a belly band and then these teacups, which thankfully I printed on heavier cardstock, on 3 sides essentially, so that there's a little pocket, and then I staggered them back and forth so that they're sort of topsy-turvy, but they're all little pockets. I love this. This is one of the first things that I did early on when I was playing around with junk journal stuff that I was obsessed with. And so it is a belly band. I put a tag behind it that I'll play with more later. And then I started filling it up with mini tags. I had printed these cute little hats. I think they're all from the artscavenger.com, which is free to use pictures. And they came in really handy when I was designing this kit and working on this journal. But there's these wonderful hats. And I decided that it'd be really fun, since the teacups are all you know, that tea party stuff is all Mad Hatter related. I wanted these teacups with these tags wearing these little hats. So I had them as stickers and it just didn't really work with any of the things I wanted to do. So I put the stickers on some of the printed paper. I think maybe book page, not printed paper, actually. And then cut around them and then put those cutouts. They're tight little pockets, but man, do they work on these little tags. Like, look at this. I put a little, there's a little stuff at the top here. And now we have just these really delightful tags and teacups. Like, I'm chuffed. I can't say enough. Teacup tag. Little Hatter journal card. We'll dress that up more later. A lot of times I just kind of get things where I know I'm going to want them and then I come back to them. One of the things I realized about the paper bag journal is that using these as pockets, there's, you know, my first thought was like they're nice big pockets, but there's so much space you can decorate inside them. So I glued this image here. This is an envelope with some writing paper in it. I'll continue to play with that more. This is a little multi-pocket thing on the page here. Got a little playing card ephemera in there and a little, oh, so tight, but it fits. It works. Got a little drink me. I want to put this pocket somewhere, but I haven't decided where yet. I don't think I'd sewn the pockets shut yet the last time I saw you. Definitely made a mistake with this one. Don't care. It's fun. It's a junk journal. Like, move on. This is the bottom of the paper bag where you would have that flap. So I gave it a good crease shut, glued in the center and on the sides to create two little shallow tag pockets, which is just, I love the stretched out Alice in there. And you can do it on the top too. So I glued it shut where it gets all narrow and funky, but there's also a little pocket there that I could shove stuff in because I love shoving stuff in places. I had some envelopes printed on the very cheap copy paper, super lightweight. They weren't really working for me as envelopes. I glued them closed and turned them into, and that made them heavier weight, right? Because you had two pages, and made them into pockets. This is a Dina Wakley stamp that I got, a stamp set of tags, and I did this one on some beautiful, fun purpley cardstock, and these are from my most recent kit. This is from the first kit. Lots of stuff fit in that pocket. This little tag goes inside this little pocket, which goes inside this little pocket. Check it out, guys. Look, I put so much decoration in this pocket here. And then I took a large piece from the most recent kit, added some hinges on the sides for gussets, and put it in here. And then this cute little cat notebook that I've had for forever works perfectly in there. Its little ears are sticking out. It's fabulous. This is an altered playing card I made ages ago as a sort of specimen card. That's in there. Got a cute little tag in there. Page tab over here. Before I glued this paper down, I glued this envelope. So it's holding some writing paper in there. That's all from the first kit I did. Here's some paper, throw that out. This is, again, the bottom of the bag. There's a little flap. It does have a little crease there. It's just the way it goes with paper bags. There's not much I can do about it. I'll probably cover it at some point, but I didn't want to turn all of the flaps into pockets. I wanted to have a little variety. So this looks like a page on its own, but then of course you can open it up and there's that hidden space there. I think I showed this already. This was a tag. Well, this was 2 tags that got messed up in printing that I combined to make a belly band with a nice little like slide tuck. It is thin paper, but I just couldn't let it go. I mean, I loved the idea of it. I'd sewn it. It looks pretty. I didn't want to redo it. So it's here, like, just, you know, chilling. You could put something there, and then also, you know, something there. So lots of fun, lots of ways to play with that. This is, again, the flap glued to make pockets, but this time I made 4 small pockets for 4 small tags. And then I had pulled things to put in here because this is a bit of the garden theme, so I was playing around with roses and red and garden stuff, and I pulled all of that to use there. This is the final open paper bag pocket. I actually glued these 2 big tags on either side of the fold. So it's now essentially 3 pockets because there's just so much room in here. And then of course I put in some decorative paper I had done on the jelly plate. So I'm still playing around with that, but really love how that came out. And I do believe that if you watched my last video, you saw me glue this, glue in the junk journal. And then, or maybe I didn't do the gluing on camera, I can't remember. And then decide that it was kind of like funky the way that it was on this page here. So I just cut it. I cut it because I wanted the room for the spine. I just wanted, it wasn't opening quite right. I probably other people mostly wouldn't notice. It was driving me batty. So I just cut it. I just cut it open. And then I had a ugly old spine, which I put some dyed fabric on to cover. And, you know, I was trying to think how I was going to glue the signatures to this side of the cover. And then I thought, I'm just not gonna. Like, it's a book. It works as a book. It's just got a sort of weird situation here in the back. But, like, if you can't do weird with Alice in Wonderland, when can you do weird? If you can't break rules with Alice in Wonderland, like, when can you break a rule? So I just decided that we could be, you know, down the rabbit hole with this one and let it be what it be. It's secured in here because of how I glued it to the front cover. And I don't know what I'm going to do with this to fully sort of take advantage, but I like it. So I kept it that way. So that is where things stand with Alice in Wonderland. And again, if you are someone who really likes to work on a journal from beginning to end, and that's how you approach your projects, I greatly admire you. I want to be you. If I touch this anymore right now, instead of following whatever's calling to me instead, it will not go well. So I'm going to put Alice back aside for a little while and work on something else. And then when I pull it back out, we'll get back to work on it together, and eventually this project will be done. But I couldn't let it go without showing you what I'd done, because I'm really, really happy with how it's been turning out. And so that is where we leave April 2026's Go Ask Alice challenge. Thank you for following along. If you've been watching as I've worked on it all month, and I just really appreciate you crafting along with me. I will be back again soon with whatever calls to me in the moment, and hopefully I will see you again when I do. If this is something that you enjoyed, if you want to follow and see what else I get up to next, then please take a moment to like, subscribe, and hit the little bell so you get notified of all of my videos. Again, appreciate you being here.